In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and to earth he sent the King of the Jews, the image of the invisible God, the plan for salvation manifested in his existence. They thought they'd crucify a man, but it was the Holy King, descended from his throne to walk a few miles in man's shoes, so he knew that we would nail him to the cross like closed casket, mausoleum his body, make altar of his sacrifice. There he was, dripping all that made him pure, vulnerable. He bled like we knew a human should. His body, a clothesline that closed the line between us and hell, bridged the gap to heaven so that we could get to the king. So he hung there like a towel, drenched in his own cleansing power. Bystanders watched as death folded into him, bleaching themselves of all association. Was it fear when it hurricaned around Calvary without rebuke? Denial became more accustomed in that moment than a prayer, than a help us God. Nobody understood what was happening, only knew it had begun. He told us. He said 3 times that the kingdom he fostered would come by way of crucifixion, that the Son of God, who publicly bound the tongues of demons, the suffering servant that walked the earth, would die and get up 3 days later. So the enemy, conjuring up all this hate, didn't realize he helped facilitate God's plan, thought he could incarcerate all that glory, got tired of seeing his miracles, walk and see. Picture Bartimaeus, a beggar living shaded, blinded but able to breathe the presence of something holy near him, entombed to a disability, with no braille of hope, just the sound of his name, Jesus, Son of David. And without even a touch, his faith made Lazarus of his eyelids, lifted them to see the Son. Jesus was the first thing Bartimaeus saw in a long time. There was a process that even the paralytic had to endure to get to his miracle. Thank God for friends like those whose faith introduced him to his healing. Had it not been for Jehovah Rapha in the room, his mattress could have turned coffin, but Jesus extended favor and forgave him of his sins, told him he can get up and walk now. Don't waste any more time lying down with guilt and pity. I imagine that being the first time he ever felt human, to be afforded such privileges we often take for granted, like walking. Just like we often take God for granted. If his mercy was a home, there would be no foundation. If we keep rejecting the stone, the rock, which was Christ sent to redeem us, to teach us about his kingdom and be the ultimate sacrifice that loosed the shackles of sin to free us so death couldn't keep us. See, the cross stripped everything human away from him, but left his majesty, the Word made flesh, sent to prepare a place in paradise for God's people. His life made ransom to be bail for those held hostage to the consequences of their sin, and his body, bare and bruised, beaten and weakened, withered like the barren fig tree, still doing what God commanded it to do. Jesus never had to say much hanging from that cross. His body turned pastor, reverberated the words he taught like an echo in the wind, displayed the love no human could fathom or even give, yelled the testimonies of healing, salvation, freedom, was the broadcasted statement to the enemy that this is how God's people will inherit the kingdom. See, the cross was an altar call. His blood, the sacrifice that filled the collection plate with grace and mercy, and still the only human unblemished. And after forgiving those who knew not what they had done, lifted his head and said, "It is finished." But it was only the beginning, because after the third day he had risen, killed the curse, conquered the grave, served notice to the devil that God's children will no longer be slaves to sin. It's because he's still alive that we get to declare this good news. And if we choose him this day, we get to walk with God in Genesis, like we were originally supposed to.